lot of people out there that think they've gotten away with crimes, specifically crimes like murder, and just go about living their life, going, well, that happened, and I've moved on, and I've decided to change my ways, and I'm just going to kind of put that behind me and hope to God nobody does a DNA test at some point and sometime link me back to a horrible crime. This is a decades-long mystery that has now been solved. A victim known as Baby Jane Doe has been identified after 35 years. It's been a significant breakthrough. Authorities have finally identified the victim known for nearly 35 years as Baby Jane Doe, whose disfigured remains were discovered in rural Georgia in 1988. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced this development in a news release on Monday. The remains are found by road workers on December 21st, 1988, concealed inside an old television cabinet encased in concrete near Millwood in Ware County. The victim has now been identified as Kenyatta Odom, who spent was just 5 years old at the time of her tragic death. Yeah, so she was 5. She wasn't technically a baby, infant, I guess, so to speak, but still a young child that lost their life and obviously had lived a little bit of life to that point. Kenyatta's mother, 56-year-old Evelyn Odom, and her mother's live-in...
Ulyster?
What's that?
Is this guy's name Ulyster? I've never heard of that.
And her mother's live-in boyfriend, 61-year-old Ulyster Sanders. It's the brother to Colonel Sanders. Right. He's the heir to the KFC empire, and he's the only one who knows the special recipe. So because of that, they didn't put him in jail because he said he would never reveal it to anyone else, and then we could never have Colonel Sanders chicken again. No, I'm
kidding about that.
Completely making that up. They were arrested last Thursday. Both individuals reside in Albany, Georgia, and are facing charges of murder and aggravated battery, among other counts.
I wanted to do a little math for you here. I just did some math. So mom, Evelyn, 56 years old, 35 years ago, she was 21. So
Right.
I'm sensing if they had a 5-year-old and she was 21 at the time of the death, that means that she was 16. She was young.
Mm-hmm. She was pretty young at the time.
Sure.
Yeah. And some people make the best of that and turn out to be amazing parents.
Yep.
And some people go the complete fucking opposite direction. According to details revealed in an indictment obtained by HuffPost, Odom and Sanders are alleged to have submerged parts of Kenyatta's body in hot water, resulting in her untimely death and severe disfigurement to her legs and feet. Subsequently, they concealed her lifeless body in an undeveloped location to evade detection. Why?
So they abused the shit out of her. She died, and they went, "Oh shit."
It baffles me, these parents that don't want children. There's many ways to kill someone. Why torture someone?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, if you're going to commit this horrible crime, which you should obviously not do, why do you have to go down the torture route? I mean, there's ways that you can just end it for somebody and they're done. Not that you should ever do that, but why are you fucking torturing this person? It's a 5-year-old.
I think you've landed on it. They're just horrific, horrible people because really what you could do is give the child up for adoption.
Well, yes, that could be the number. That should be the number one thing someone does. But unfortunately, you have people that do this sort of shit. During a news conference on Monday, GBI specialist agent in charge, Jason Seacrest, provided further insights into the grim discovery. It's Ryan Seacrest's brother, by the way. That this is American Idol. Kenyatta's remains were found wrapped in a blanket, placed in a duffel bag, and encased in a concrete within a TV cabinet. But the child's death was originally initially ruled a homicide. Investigators struggled to pinpoint the cause of death or just identify suspects, leaving the case unsolved for decades. Over the years, authorities made multiple attempts to identify the victim through media coverage and forensic testing available at the time. However, here we go. It wasn't until 2022 that a crucial breakthrough occurred following the airing of a news story commemorating the anniversary of Kenyatta's death. A tipster from the public came forward. The tipster expressed confidence in identifying the victim and pointing towards the suspect, Evelyn Odom. Oh, here we go. Odonism is coming in. No, I'm kidding.
No.
The name is Evelyn Odom, though, who had claimed that Kenyatta had gone to live with her father. The case unfolds. It's worthy of noting that both Evelyn Odom and Ulyster Sanders do not have listed attorneys at the time, and it remains unclear when their next court appearances are scheduled. It does make mark a milestone here in this decades-long mystery, hopefully providing answers. I'm curious. Okay, so the accusation has been made. I think we need to do a little more digging, though, to find out what exactly was how do you arrest somebody? You need some sort of evidence to arrest somebody other than just somebody saying, yeah, their baby died 35 years ago. I think it was them.
That's a really good question. I wonder, there had to have been DNA evidence. That's the only thing I can think of that they didn't really mention here.
There's got to be something more that brought them in. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And it probably just has not been released yet. Sometimes arrests are made and it's sealed and nobody really has access to it. But, after all these years, that finally... It's disturbing to me that there's someone who has knowledge of a murder that also hasn't talked about it in 35 years.
That's also very troubling. Why now? Why not 30 years ago? Why not 34 years ago?
I think there's far more excuses there than there are with the parents. There could be fear. There could be, there could be a lot of things. Not that they're justified or they were doing the right thing per se, but maybe sometimes they're doing the right thing for their life at that point in time and didn't want to get caught up into some murder case while, they were living their own life and trying to keep it on track. I don't know. Certainly it should have been brought up many, many years ago. But, I think there's a lot of this out there. I think there's so much of this out there where unless there's attention brought to it like this, somebody brought it up on a news program saying, oh, remember 35 years ago today? Here's a fun memory. There's a lot of this. And there's a lot of parents out there who don't want their kids. And there's a lot of parents out there who find ways of getting rid of their children. And unless there's a lot of support around those kids and those families and people that give a shit about those kids, which unfortunately in many cases there is not, kids can go missing very quickly. There is going to be, mark my words on this, when we look back on this in 5-10 years, there is going to be an epidemic of missing children from the COVID era because there are so many who never returned to school and there's not really a record of where the fuck they went. And
that's terrifying.
And there's not enough investigators out there to look into every single one of these things because it is ridiculous. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but one that I know that it's been brought, I've seen stats on, and this is just one school district. Imagine every other one in the country too, that LA Unified, there's a huge percentage. We're not talking like 1-2% of kids, but a huge percentage that never came back after COVID.
And there's nobody checking on them, most likely. There's nobody doing any accountability for them.
What is your, the number on social worker to cases is ridiculous. And then if there's no real reason or no record to have a social worker be involved because there hasn't been any sort of abuse, it's not like the kids just stopped showing up for class. Everybody stopped showing up for class because you couldn't show up for class for years. So there wasn't the whole this is awkward or weird that they didn't come back. There's a lot of it's just written off to, well, maybe they moved. Maybe they did this or that. And in a lot of cases, there's probably nothing to it. But in many others, I think there's a lot to it. And I think there's going to be very, very disturbing accounts that come out of what happened over those years. I think it's very dark. That's my conjecture. That's my opinion. But I am basing it on facts. I'm basing it on numbers and things that just don't seem to add up. And many of the kids probably just running the streets and the parents aren't competent enough to bring the kids back into school. That's probably what a lot of it really is. But
though we're looking at a bleak future is what that points to.
Oh, just a little bit. Just a tad.
Just a titch.
Just a tad. But disturbing story, no matter what. And I like this because it's another example of the truth will always come to light. In this case, 35 years later, it finally has. And one can only hope that Odom and Sanders finally get the punishment that they deserve, if in fact they have anything to do here with the disappearance and the death and putting their 5-year-old daughter in a TV case and cementing it into the ground after burning her. There's a special place in hell for those folks.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advance access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.